Hey everybody, it's Brandon Scheid from Liquid Force Kites, and I'm excited to be here with you today to tell you about the Hippy Sticks. They're so rad. Every time I talk, touch, ride, or think about one, I get a big smile on my face, and I just want to share a little bit of that joy with you. You may be looking at these things wondering, are they a twin tip? Are they a surfboard? Are they a mutant? Who are they for? What's going on? I like to think of them as all that kind of rolled in one. They're a directionally favored twin tip, meaning they can be ridden both ways, tail first and nose first, but they are set up to be performance gains, riding it nose first. So they're optimized for one direction of travel, even though they can do both. Now these things kind of came about as a three-prong thing. We kind of looked at the average kiteboarder and realized that they want to rip really aggressive turns. They want to do some jumps, they want to do some small load and pops, some rolls and some grabs, and they want to have a good, easy upwind time in a variety of conditions. We then were looking at the twin tip market and realizing that the twin tip market was a little bit stagnant. It was getting harder and harder to tell, what twin tip was for who. A lot of the shapes were very similar, kind of things were looking a lot of the same, and it was becoming harder and harder to decide what twin tip a person would even buy. That was starting to happen in snowboarding, and their answer to that was an introduction of a lot of retro, kind of surf-inspired shapes, and we definitely took note of that. And then we were riding after an amazing winter of snowboarding on the water, and we were just kind of thinking to ourselves, we really wanted a board that ripped like our snowboards did on the mountain. And those three things kind of bubbled up together, and we kind of had this idea to kind of pursue some of those retro shapes in our kiteboards. And a lot of hard work and a lot of vision later, Liquid Force Kites brought to the market these two boards last year, and they've been very well received, and they're absolutely amazing. They're for anyone who wants to rip on the water, have a big smile when they come in, and just share the stoke and fun of kiteboarding. So these two boards, although they are very different, share some construction similarities. So let's delve into what it is that's the same about these two boards before we get into what makes them each unique and special. So they both start with a 100% wood core, and this our profiled wood core, meaning the core is sent through a mill to specifically determine the thickness from the middle of the board to the tip of the board. That lets us control the flex of the board as well as the weight and the way the board feels underneath your foot. That core is then wrapped in our liquid rail, which is a poured urethane rail. It's the strongest, most flexible rail that you can get, and I'm happy to see it carried through on all of our products in the line. We then drop a 4-pack of inline M6 inserts in there, which give you the most stance options on these boards. We'll get into why that's important in a little bit, but know that we have 4 inline M6 inserts which allow you to ride the board both ways. It's not asymmetrical. And the last thing that these boards share is this wonderful deep single concave down the board. And that single concave gives you nice hold and grip on the water. It's forgiving, it's smooth. It also helps dampen the water on landings. It really lends itself to this board, this directionally favored board. So we got that featured on both of those boards. These boards are both then wrapped in a PMU top and bottom sheet, giving us this wonderful, vibrant, graphical look, this retro fade here, and I think they look freaking sick. So those are the things that are very similar about the two boards and their construction. Let's get into a little bit about what makes them different and unique. And I'll start over here with the Spacecraft. It's a 144. It's more twin tip inspired than I would say the Moon Patrol over here. As you can see, it's got a little bit more of a symmetrical outline. It's pulled back to the tail to optimize it for directional travel, but it is a symmetrical outline, and that stance is centered around that. In addition to having that slightly pulled back outline, you can see we have a beautiful swallowtail and a blunt nose on the front here. That gives you nice float up here in the nose and a good engaging tail in your tail block. Also is the rocker difference. You can see between the nose and the tail of the board, you have a lot of flip in the nose to keep it up out of the water, and you got a little bit flatter rocker in the tail, giving you more drive and helping you go upwind a little bit easier on the tail. Like I said, both this boards come with nice deep single concave, giving you that smooth comfortable ride on the water. This one is a little bit more lively, more twin tip inspired, maybe for someone who still wants to do a lot of grabs, rolls, jumps, and really wants that true kind of twin tip feel while still having a little bit of slashiness and a little bit different ride. Over here we have the Moon Patrol, and it comes in a 146. The big thing that you'll notice about this right out of the gate is its outline. It's really tapered into the tail of the board, and that gives you an engaging tail block and a lot of slashiness out of the tail of this board. You can also see we have a half moon tail and a blunted shovel nose. That gives you a lot of float through the nose and a lot of engagement in these corners when you're really laying on your heel side or toe side rail. This board is tapered in its outline, meaning it's optimized to be further back on the tail, even though it still can be ridden both tail first and nose first. Once again, you have that nice, drivey, efficient rocker in the tail, and then you have quite a bit of flip in the nose to keep that nose floaty and more up out of the water. So this thing, like I said, rides like a dream. It really rips carves. Now, I talked about some of the stance options, and what you'll be able to do is shift your foot pad back further to be more over the tail of this board, or forward to be a little bit more over the rail of this board, giving you a little bit of variety in how the board rides. You know, the further back it is, the more directional and slashy it's going to feel, versus moving forward it's going to feel a little bit more like a true twin tip. So that's kind of the two differences. You know, this one is going to be for somebody who really wants that surfy kind of retro style slash feel, maybe is a little bit more committed to riding 1 foot forward all the time. This one's going to be a little bit more lively, snappy, and kind of freestyle oriented, while it still gives you that directional favorability and allows you to get really slashy. Both these boards are going to come with a full set of 4.0 fins and 2 5.0 fins, which allows you to kind of engage the tail a little bit more with a bit of a bigger fin. And other than that, these boards are ready to go. They're freaking rad. They're ready to ride, rip right out of the box. And these things, just like I said, just bring a smile to my face. And I think that's what kiteboarding is about in the end. So if you want to get on the water, get slashy, get shreddy, then you want to get your hands on one of these Hippy Sticks.